Good afternoon and welcome back for those that already joined us in the morning on the part on the European Research Area. Now in the afternoon we are looking into the core topics of the destination on widening participation and spreading excellence. So that's a number of calls that have a total budget of I think 170 million almost. So that will keep us busy for the afternoon. You see a little bit the schedule. We start with two novelties that we have. The one is the EIC Pre-Accelerator, and the second is on connected regional innovation valleys. Then we go to two topics that some of you might have seen already in the past, the European Excellence Initiative and the Hop-on Facility. And the last topic is a small topic where we're going to fund only one consortium for the enlargement countries. Before we get into that, but let me do a little bit of housekeeping. On the next slide, there are some important links for you. First of all, the questions that you can send us, please use the Slido QR code, and you can do that as we go through the presentations. You don't have to wait until the end of the presentation. Colleagues are looking into the questions and will then give them to us for the discussion here. On the first link, you see here the published work program that was adopted a couple of days ago. Any question that you have, either as a follow-up from today or later on when you prepare your proposal, you have to submit via the Research Inquiry Service. And please make sure that you quote here clearly which topic you're referring to so that we can connect it to the right person. And as you will know, the application goes via the Funding and Tenders portal where all these information is centralized. We have already seen there were some questions from people that were watching this morning on what is in the pipeline, because you see now in the work program 2025 for widening only certain actions. So we are currently discussing with the program committee the work program 2026 and 27, and we expect that there will be a version that we can make public at the latest by the end of June. So there you will have a first flavor of what's coming. But I can tell you already, we are going to continue in 26 according to our plans with the twinning actions. We are going to have another last call for the European Excellence Hubs, and we also continue with the ERA chairs in 2027. There will be some novelties that you can discover later on, but at least you know that the three big building blocks, Excellence Hubs, twinning and ERA chairs, will still be on the menu until the end of the framework program. With this, we are now coming to the first topic that we are presenting today on the EIC Pre-Accelerator. I have with me here Eva, that is in charge of that topic in our DG, and Nancy from the ISMEA, our executive agency. That is something that you will see now for the rest of the afternoon. We always have also a colleague from the agency here, simply to help us out with the more technical aspects of the calls that we are discussing here. And without further ado, to you, Eva, please.
Thank you for the floor, Jörg, and thank you for having us as the European Innovation Council in your work program. That's quite important for those of you who maybe hear about that for the first time. European Innovation Council is of course mostly focusing on funding breakthrough innovations and really innovators that are having a deep tech technology to proceed with. And with our calls within time, we are seeing that the applications coming from widening countries are first of all in a less number, and second of all, indeed the success rate is also much lower. So in order to tackle this issue, we were discussing internally and also with member states how to maybe support companies, deep tech startups mostly from widening countries, and the conclusion of that is what you see now on the slides. So we are about to open a call that it's called EIC Pre-Accelerator, and this is about boosting the innovation potential of early stage deep tech startups from widening countries only. So this is indeed the idea to support companies who are having a technology or a product that it's not yet mature enough to be submitted to the EIC Accelerator regular call. It's also not ready yet for looking for some other private investments, but it is definitely a deep tech. It just needs a bit of a time and some additional funding for advancing the technology readiness level to the one that it's expected in EIC Accelerator. So that basically means that we will look here for companies that are able to indeed achieve this result within a given time of up to 2 years, and the money that we are about to spend for this purpose. And at the end of that project fund that we are pre-accelerator, we expect companies to have the TRL level of the product or the technology at level 5 completed. So basically, to be ready to submit a proposal to EIC Accelerator regular call, but already jumping to the step 2 of that process, or look also for other private investments, or maybe because we're also planning to award Seal of Excellence, so maybe also look for some alternative funding if necessary. The dates you see on the slide, so we will open the call on 12th of June, so it's not yet open. It will be closed on 18th of November. This is a coordination and support action, but adopted, of course, to the needs of this specific call. We have 20 million, and so we plan to fund more or less 50 projects. Next slide, please. So a bit more in detail, but I actually explained the main issues here already. So we are really looking for companies that are at least at TRL 4 with the technology validated in the lab. So there should be really clear potential for this deep tech, again, I repeat, technology to go to market in the time that we offer in this project, so up to 2 years. So it has to be realistic. The company has to also have the freedom to operate, so it has to be really clear that the intellectual property rights belong to the company and that company can work on the specific product or technology. And indeed, with the ambition to go to market and to scale up. So that's quite an important aspect of that, and you can find all those details in the work program, in the call text already now. We are also putting there key evaluation criteria to follow. So basically, we are addressing with this funding the investor and market readiness, and we really want to help companies to go from this TRL 4 to 6 in order to be able to join the application procedure for the EIC Accelerator at step 2. And I will now give the floor to my colleague Nancy, who will also go now in the next slide into more specific conditions of the call.
Thank you, Eva. So good afternoon. EICMEA is the agency that will be in charge of the evaluation of the pre-accelerator call. I will go now through the specific conditions and we'll give you some information about the evaluation process. So we find logical that the evaluation will follow the same steps of the evaluation of the EIC transition open call, step 1. There are, of course, some differences. First, this call is mono-beneficiary. It is also a call focused only on SMEs established in widening countries. These are the only SMEs that are eligible for the pre-accelerator call. The SME definition that we will use is a standard EU definition. Concerning the evaluation process, the pre-accelerator will be evaluated in a single stage evaluation. This is another difference with transition that has 2 steps. We will follow the evaluation criteria of step 1 of the EIC transition open call, as I told you. These evaluation criteria are already copied in the work program of WIDERA, so no need to look for them in the EIC work program. What I can tell you about the evaluation is that pre-accelerator proposals will be evaluated by 3 experts, and we will take the average of all the three evaluations for the total score of the proposal. These experts will be the ones evaluated transition call as well, so they will have the experience on the field. Concerning the documents that you will submit with your proposal, we will use a CSA proposal template, adapted, of course, to the transition evaluation criteria. For the duration, we expect a maximum of 2 years for a project. And we offer a grant only in the form of a lump sum of 300 to 500,000 euro that we will reimburse up to 70%. This means that you need to draft a budget with 100% of the cost, and we will reimburse 70% on the basis of this budget. Additional, there will be free access to tailor EIC business acceleration services to the successful awardees, and they will be able to jump to the EIC Accelerator second stage of the evaluation, so they will use the fast track. The Seal of Excellence, as Eva told you, will be awarded to the proposals that have passed the thresholds but didn't get the funding. They will be, of course, also business acceleration services provided to these companies which are excellent but didn't get the funding. So this is all from my side, and I think we are passing the floor to Jörg for the questions.
Very good. Thanks a lot to both of you. So that's a really exciting novelty. It is in the widening part of the work program because we are using the widening budget, and we only allow legal entities from widening countries, including the relevant associated countries, to apply. But it's a big stepping stone that you can take in order to get into the EIC, because in the end it comes with a package not only of the funding but also with the access to the acceleration services and the fast track possibility to get into the EIC accelerator. So keep that in mind. We see now a number of questions already on the slide. I take the one on eligible countries. Can associated countries, Armenia, Georgia, Moldova, Ukraine, participate in the EIC pre-accelerator? Yes, indeed. If you look into the list of countries that we have published in our widening work program as being eligible for the widening actions, the associated countries with comparable innovation characteristics as the widening member states are fully eligible, so they compete here on equal footing. Then we have a question perhaps for you, Eva. What does the term early stage deep tech startups, that's a long thing.
Yes, yes.
What does that mean?
Yeah, well, that means that the companies that can apply to pre-accelerator have to work on the deep tech technology, but this technology is on an early stage. So as I mentioned, this is TRL level 4 that we are aiming as an entry point. So that means that this is early stage and too early for EIC accelerator, but then fits perfectly for pre-accelerator. So that's the definition we have here. It doesn't relate to the date of establishment of the company or anything else. It's only related to the level of technology.
Okay, very good. Then I see a question here from Stefan. That has already applied without success twice to the accelerator. Can he now apply with a downsized but similar project to this call? I would say yes. That's
exactly the target group we are having. Of course, yes. If you got rejected because your technology was not mature enough for your EIC accelerator, most probably you would fit here, of course, to this call. Yeah. Good.
So then there's a question on the proposal template for the pre-accelerator, which, as you already explained, is based on the CSA template for administrative reasons, but tailored to the information that we want to see for the pre-accelerator. I think it will only be public when we open the call. And so I'm afraid you will have to wait until June to see this then in live.
Yeah, if I may add to that, since we are following the criteria of EIC transition, if you're very impatient and want to already see what will be in the template, you can look into the criteria and evaluation criteria that are included at the moment in the work program, and more or less the template will follow them.
Very good. Then there is a question again on eligibility for Canary Islands. Yes, so the eligible widening countries are the widening member states and the outermost regions. So Canary Islands in this case are eligible to apply as long as the legal entity is indeed established in the Canary Islands and not in mainland. Then the question on applying to both the accelerator call and the WIDERA call with a similar project. How do we deal with that, Eva?
Well, I would say that that's not possible, because if your technology is mature enough to apply to EIC accelerator, it will not be good for pre-accelerator and the other way around. So the idea what we are having here is to offer you a possibility to advance the technology from lower, from this TRL4 to 6 in pre-accelerator, and then go to accelerator. If you think that your technology is ready for accelerator, then of course there is no need to apply for pre-accelerator.
Very good. So we don't invite people to play the lottery here.
Yeah.
Good. Then you mentioned that there's a funding rate of 70%, which given the commercial perspectives here, I think is fully justified. So the question here is, do companies need to show in the proposal how they will cover the remaining 30%? No, this is not necessary, because you have basically a budget that you submit with your proposal. You get reimbursed on the basis of 70% of these planned expenditure, and the remaining 30% you have to cover with your own means or other sources, but you have to be able to indeed cover the full budget. Then there is a specific question on something you mentioned before. They have to have the IPR, the freedom to operate, and how do they demonstrate that? Do they need an analysis performed by an external patent firm, or how would they demonstrate that in their proposal?
Yeah, that I'm not 100% sure. Maybe you would have some...
For the freedom to operate? No, it's not needed. We only need the ownership of the IP rights to be sure that the company have them.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So that's the part that you have to demonstrate in your proposal, ownership of the IPR. So there are more questions on the template and possible annexes. I'm not sure we should go into that right now. Can you say something about eventual annexes?
Yes, well, there are some templates, the usual templates that they have to submit with the proposal. So the part B with the project, and the lump sum budget table, which is also an annex. There will be also a document where they have to present that they have ownership, and they have to sign this document to be sure that they could use the IP rights.
Okay, good. But since this is a mono-beneficiary proposal, the administrative effort is somehow limited, and you simply have to see within your organization, within your SME, that you get these elements together.
Yes.
There is an interesting question on the evaluation in the sense of whether there would be a quota of winners per country. This is not the case. This is a fully competitive call where we select proposals according to their excellence. So we have, as Eva mentioned, the evaluation that is carried out by 3 different evaluators. We take the average of the scores, then we rank the proposals in the order of the scores, and at the point where we run out of money, there we draw the line and stop the funding and the selection procedure. Having said that, there is one important issue. We will probably face a situation that at that threshold of funding, there will be a number of proposals with an equal score. And if we then have to make a choice which proposals we are going to fund and which go into the reserve list and possibly get the Seal of Excellence awarded, there we take into account which countries that are now in this small batch of projects have already been selected with higher scores. And there we give privilege to those countries that are not yet as part of the to be selected proposals in the ranking list. So there is a certain element of balancing the country participation at that threshold of funding. There is a question on the scope of the activities for you. I read it out. Apart from the technical activities, are close to market activities considered eligible? So how broad can the scope of proposed activities be?
Well, it's very individual, because it depends on the product and technology you're working on, of course, but it has to lead, the project has to lead to market. So any kind of analysis that you would need to get closer to that stage are, of course, eligible. But if it's too close, then indeed, maybe again, you should reconsider and apply to the EIC accelerator. So that's a bit of the decision that has to be with a company, how ready you are and how much time we will still need in order to prove that you're ready to market. But we need to see indeed the ambitious projects that are going to market and having in mind scaling up.
Very good. Then there's a question on eligible cost. Can the staff costs of the team that stands behind the technology startup be included in the budget? I'm not talking here under the authority of colleagues, but this is a lump sum project, so you will have lump sums that are allocated to different work packages. You have to justify in your proposal for each of the work packages the resources you allocate, personnel, other direct costs, etc. And that, of course, then can also include the staffing that you need for the individual activities. And these things will then be also in the evaluation assessed by the experts in terms of reasonable amounts and then determined eventually in the grant agreement. There is a question on the fast track to the accelerator. I think that merits a little bit of a broader explanation on how that works, and perhaps since we have the time, you can then in a second step also elaborate a little bit on what exactly do we offer with the business acceleration services.
Okay, so indeed, that's the ultimate goal of the call, to facilitate submitting proposals and getting ready for the accelerator. Accelerator normally has 3 different steps. So what we offer here is the possibility to jump into the second one. Of course, the moment to do it, it's probably this is maybe behind the question that you have to, again, as a company, be ready for that. So that means that you have to be convinced that you finalized your TRL 5. We will also have some review possibilities with you. That is more like on the agency side, some possibility to check if the pre-accelerator project is going as planned and if it's really reaching the expected outcome, and if yes, then you'll be able to apply to the accelerator. Normally we have 2 cut-off dates per year. Then it's again your decision to which one you would like to apply, and that needs a bit of more, of course, work. But you will already have a possibility to also use coaching that we are offering for that, the 3 days of support in order to prepare the, let's say, business plan, because the proposal for the accelerator at the step 2 is more like a business plan, since we are then getting very close to the market. So this is what we are aiming here to receive from companies applying to the accelerator. So we don't have any specific calendar here, or like, one deadline that you have to be ready before or something. It's just that you have to be ready with your proposal, and that it's at the end, of course, basing on the pre-accelerator results, but also achieving the final outcome that we are having as expected one at the moment in the call, and prepare the proposal to the step 2 of EIC accelerator.
Very good. So there's a lot of more services around this than just the grant. There's a lot of extra support that we are giving here, which is important to get that off the ground. Then there is a question on the timeline of the evaluation process. It says here for the accelerator, but I assume that means the pre-accelerator. So we have an 8-month to grant time. So we'll probably have the evaluation outcomes when the submission deadline is November towards the end of March, roughly?
Yes. Well, we are trying to get this very, very fast. And so the deadline is on the 18th November, and we consider that the evaluation, the results will be ready end of January, February.
Super. Very good.
And then, well, the contract should be signed in the 3 months later.
Okay. Good. So fairly fast information on the outcome evaluation, then followed by the invitation to grant agreement preparation. The question on the budget, 300 to 500,000 euros is the total budget or the amount of the grant. That's the amount of the grant, so the union contribution. So in order to qualify for the maximum union contribution of 500,000, you would have to have total costs of the project of a little bit more than 700,000 in order to justify with a 70% this amount. There is the question on the evaluation pool that we use. I think you mentioned it, but perhaps for the benefit of the audience, explain again how the pool of evaluators that we use for the pre-accelerator relates to the one that we use for the accelerator and transition.
Yeah, relates very well, and especially to transition. because pre-accelerator is more or less at the same TRL levels. So our goal here is to indeed invite experts who are having experience in the EIC transition call to evaluate pre-accelerator. Not that much the accelerator experts, but it's also a bit to be seen in practice. As you know, this is a first time that we are having this call, so we also have to see how this will develop and also learn from the current call for the future. But the general idea we have at the moment is to invite EIC transition experts.
Very good. There's again a question on the budget from Nathan. If I understand correctly, for the budget, if I submit for 500k, I get 350k. Is this correct? So once you are in the position to go to the call, once it's opened, there is a financial form that you have to fill in. In there, you put in your resources, and indeed, if you put in resources for 500,000 euro, then automatically the system applies the 70% funding rate, and you will request with that a union contribution of 350,000. The question of the submission of an idea that has been rejected 3 times from the EIC accelerator, that is not a problem. This is a new call open to anyone, and so take your chances here. We are also planning to have this call again in the year 2027. There we have to see how we deal with resubmissions, but I think after 2 years, ideas have either found other ways to survive or not any longer are that relevant. So please, if you didn't make it through the EIC, please try this, because that's exactly what we are trying to do here, reach people that weren't successful in the EIC accelerator. The question on the market assessment and business plan. Is this expected as part of the proposal, or is it something that can be developed during the project?
Well, I already mentioned that the business plan is basically the characteristics of the proposal submitted to the EIC accelerator. So we don't expect this proposal to be a business plan, but of course some elements that are necessary to show that this is a serious work behind, and the idea to at the end really finalize this with a concrete business plan. We should see that. So some elements, of course, of market assessment, some as APR, as mentioned already, it has to be already there, because we have to see the potential. 2 years, it's not such a long time, so we need to see the possibility to advance within those 2 years to the level that it would be ready for EIC accelerator. So basically ready for the business plan.
Good. Then there is a couple of questions here around the TRL level. Whether the company or the proposed product needs to be in low TRL. And I think we are talking here about the product that the company has in mind, that with a submission has to be in a certain TRL level.
Yes, exactly. So it has to be at least 4. So that means validated in lab, and has to be shown, explained in the proposal, because if it's lower, most probably it will be not feasible to advance within 2 years to such a moment that you will say that yes, we are ready for EIC accelerator. So we think that within 2 years it is possible to go from 4 to a completed 5. So that means ready for EIC accelerator. Otherwise, I would advise for you to look for some other possibilities of funding and maybe come back to EIC accelerator or pre-accelerator a bit later.
Which I think is also already giving part of the answer to the question if you could apply to both accelerator and pre-accelerator in the same year, just with different project scopes. Either your product is already at the level that you can submit to the accelerator, or it is not there, and then you go to the pre-accelerator, but you can't come with the same product and sell it at 2 different TRS levels.
That's true, yes.
And then the question again on the architecture of the project. Do the external services within the project have to be ordered, purchased from the pool of EIC business acceleration services?
No.
A clear no.
No, definitely not. You can do whatever you want. You have to just deliver the result. You will be offered during the project some support also from us, from business acceleration services. But if you want to use the budget of the project for some other analysis, it's okay.
Good. I think we are slowly coming even to an end here. How time passes when you get so many questions.
Yeah.
There is a last question on budget. Are there any restrictions for how much budget can be used for subcontracting outsourcing? There is no firm threshold in here. You have to, of course, justify the subcontracting that you propose, and that will be assessed by the evaluators if it's necessary to achieve the objectives that you want to achieve. Otherwise, you have to structure your project as you see fit. Perhaps on the question of resubmissions, we are not yet there that we are going to have a regular pre-accelerator call. So as I said before, we are looking with great excitement to this one and see how much submissions we get. The next one will be in 2027 according to our planning, and therefore the risk of resubmission is probably rather low. But we are also interested to see what the response is to this call, because that will allow us then to also see what the adequate budget is then for the next call that we are having in 27. Good. Are there any more questions that we see here that we haven't answered?
Maybe the evaluation process. Yes. We will start the evaluation process after the deadline, not after the submission of the proposal. This is more like a traditional call. So we wait until 18th of November. We will collect all proposals and then evaluate them.
And then there's a question. The company should be open before the call deadline. So I read this as being established.
Yes.
And that is, of course, the case.
Yes,
we need not in place.
We need proposals submitted by SMEs established in the widening countries. That is, that you have to have a company to apply.
Good. There is a question on the experts that we use as evaluators. Will it be domain, so technology experts or business experts? I guess we have a mix.
Yes,
perhaps Nancy
like
explain that a little bit.
Other calls of the accelerator, we have a mix of them, business experts and domain experts.
So there is again the question of a company that has interest in both the pre-accelerator and the accelerator, with two, as they describe it, distinct projects. If the projects are distinct, and we are talking different products here, then there is no problem in participating in both calls.
Yes.
How is the project reporting handled? In similar reporting periods like the EIC accelerator, and how is the lump sum distributed in terms of percentages? That's perhaps something for you, Nancy?
Yes, well, project reporting, since this is a duration of 2 years or less, we have thought that only a midterm review will be done, and we will have upper financing and a final payment only.
Okay. And for the lump sum, it is typically split, or you expect it to be split in how many work packages?
Yeah, this depends on the proposal and how the budget is presented. But they should draft, of course. The better is to do per work package, and there will be a related lump sum share per work package. So this is how they have to draft their budget, the proposal.
Okay. Then there's an interesting question. If we have a project already submitted for national funding, but we haven't yet received the confirmation if it was selected or not, can we submit also for the pre-accelerator? Of course, you would not accept double funding. In principle, this is possible. And of course, you have until the call closure the possibility also to withdraw your proposal. Choose wisely. Because once you get the confirmation for the national funding and you don't have yet the confirmation for the evaluation outcomes of the pre-accelerator, you might go for what you can get. Good. I think with this we have exhausted our questions. We got a lot of interest here, so I think that will be also be reflected in the number of proposals we get. Many thanks for both of you for being here.
Thank you.
And many thanks to the audience for the good questions. And we have a short break just to change the setup here. And we are back with you in a minute for the regional innovation valleys. Thank you. And here we are again. Thank you for your patience. I have now with me Ekaterina and Christina on another novel topic that we have, implementing action plans for connected regional innovation valleys in widening countries. So this is, again, one of these core topics that we are implementing in our work program because we use the budget from the widening part and we address specifically widening countries. So only proposals with a coordinator from a widening country are eligible here. But otherwise, it is something that has already been tested and tried in the Innovation Ecosystem Work Program. So we have experience on how this works. That's why we have also Christina with us here from ISMEA. But we first give the floor to Ekaterina to explain us the call. And then, as before, we open the floor for your questions. Please remember to get your slide already so that we have a good portfolio of questions to answer. Please, Ekaterina.
Yes, thank you so much, Jörg. I will briefly present the topic. And of course, as Jörg has mentioned, it is not a new topic for Horizon Europe. We have already experience with that. And already, as of today, we have 107 regions who received the label of the Regional Innovation Valleys. However, for this call, everyone can apply with the regions with a label and also without. Why this call is important? Of course, this call stemming from the new European Innovation Agenda that was adopted in 2022 and actually aiming to bridge the innovation gap between less and more developed regions and countries. But as you know, the new political priorities as competitiveness compass, it also continues to be very important topic and activity that we would like to continue to promote. So this call, WIDERA, it's a mirror call with the European Innovation Ecosystem Work Programme, but it is really oriented specifically on the widening countries. And again, what we want to achieve with that, we want to bridge this innovation divide and want to strengthen European competitiveness, particularly in the 5 burning challenges. And these 5 burning challenges are reducing reliance on the fossil fuels, improving healthcare, improving global food security, mastering the digital transformation, and also achieving circularity. Within these 5 broad areas, we expect submission of the topics. What is important also to underline, we give a lot of freedom for the regions to develop their action plans and develop their proposals. However, we expect that they build their proposals on their areas of regional specialization, on the smart specialization. And also, what is important for us, that they commit to collaborate and also to launch the interregional projects. What are the expected outcomes from the call that we would like to see and what we want to achieve? We expect that the consortium comes with a joint definition of the strategy and the vision, long-term vision on the development of the region and also particularly the research and innovation system. We do expect that the call covers more deep tech, oriented more on the deep tech innovation rather than other types of innovation. And we also very much encourage the synergies and complementarities between different thematic and technological fields of joint European interest. We do believe that the region should share the knowledge assets and also increase the innovation capabilities and better link territories and innovation actors between themselves. We do expect innovation co-investment in the amount of 50% co-funding that can come from any other sources. It can come from European, national, regional, or local sources. We believe that this co-funding is very important to make sure that we really bring also our... we do also expect that they will strengthen access of cross-border infrastructure and expertise, particularly for SMEs and the startups. And again, here I do not speak a lot about political priorities, but also startups and scale-ups are it's important political priority currently. And of course, through the regional innovation valleys, we also expect that the startups and scale-ups would grow and be supported in Europe. They also could come together to create experimentation spaces, regulatory sandboxes, develop standard regulations. We are really quite open to give opportunity to the consortium to base their sort of offer of the coordination support actions that they would like to build. However, we also would expect from them that they would commit to launch at least 3 interregional projects in specific thematic fields and thematic areas, these burning challenge areas that I have mentioned to you earlier in the presentation. And we expect that this type of innovation actions would be quite high TRL level. It's between 6 and 8. And this time, and it's a novelty in this call, comparing to another call under EIE, under Horizon Europe, we also give opportunity for the consortium to decide whether they would like to go through for the PCP and PPI activities, pre-commercial procurement or public procurement for innovation, where TRL levels could be even higher, because it would be already technology that already ready for the market and ready to be bought. FSTPs, we give also opportunity for FSTPs limit for 600,000, so it's quite a high limit, because we expect that in this interregional project will be quite big. We do expect that the consortium devote around 50% of the common budget to the launch of this implementation of these FSTP calls. On the previous slide, we have also a little bit information about the budgets, but probably you know it already. We have 24 million directed for this call, and we expect about to grant about 4 proposals. We do have minimum eligibility criteria. Please pay attention. There is minimum eligibility criteria in the call text. We do expect participants, good balance for participants from the widening country and also non-widening countries, and also we have a requirement to bring low, let's say, emerging and moderate innovator regions with strong and leading innovator regions together in the consortium, because we believe this cross-fertilization are very important for the developing EU competitiveness. At the same time, I just would like to address immediately the most probably question that we probably would receive anyway. We do have a mirror call under European Innovation Ecosystem Work Programme. We do have a particular specific info day on the 3rd of June devoted to this call. We will cover also WIDERA call there. So if you feel that there is not enough time for you today to answer, to give a replies to your questions, you're also very much welcome to follow the 3rd of June call. And there we designate 35 million for this mirror call for European for the regional innovation valleys. Again, we do not encourage, I mean, we actually prohibit you to submit the same proposal to the both calls. We do have this formal interdiction, but also for the similar calls, we will be looking very closely, and we may ask you to withdraw the proposal. We do have a formal interdiction in one of these work programs saying that if you submit 2 same proposals to the call, then the call would be evaluated under WIDERA. Right, Christine. So with that, I probably stop my presentation. Maybe one more thing I want to add. It is also, we are trying to facilitate preparation of the consortium and for you to find the right partners. And how to do it? First of all, on our website, we have a matchmaking map that is published, and there are already regions who either currently designated as regional innovation valleys, but they have already the contact details there. And you can, of course, write to these regions and ask whether they would be interested to join your consortium or not. And also on the 18th of June, during the Community of Practice S3 event here in Brussels, there will be face-to-face session, not online, but in person, also to helping the different regions and different participants to participate, to identify the good partners for the forming the consortium. And the last thing, of course, as I mentioned to you again, 3rd of June, there will be info day for regional innovation valleys, specifically under European Innovation Ecosystem and also under WIDERA. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ekaterina. So I think that was very important to get. So 3 of June, a more comprehensive info day, use the matchmaking tool to build your consortium, and use the 18th of June if you can come to Brussels to get better involved into the proposal preparation. So we see already a lot of questions coming in. So perhaps first of all, because we glanced over that, FSDP is financial support to third parties. So we expect consortia to work with cascade funding. That is part of the first question. Applicants are supposed to implement concrete innovation actions, TRL 6 to 8, via cascade funding. Are these projects excluded from the GBR?
Well, this is a question of state aid, and we will have specific FAQ on the state aid that are going to be published quickly. I must say we are still waiting the reply from DG Competition on that. I wouldn't come maybe to the details of the answer, just to also not to direct you maybe incorrectly, because we would like to make it bulletproof. But I want to be very clear about the state aid. Yes, you are under obligations to check when you are using particularly the regional funds, to check whether you are, whether you are under state aid rules or not, and you have to check it in your member states and with your specific authority who is responsible, but you are not exempt from that.
So I think any applicant that has specific issues around this is really invited to submit precise questions to the Research Inquiry Service. Especially here, I think there are two issues. The one is at the level of the innovation actions that are implemented by the consortium. The other is related to the co-funding. So where does the co-funding come from? And that, I think, is also here shining through the next question that we have. I read it out. Regional innovation values are implemented as co-fund actions, receiving funding from Horizon Europe and another source. Are there dedicated reporting templates for these projects? How are projects supposed to handle the different formula to measure, e.g., personnel costs? Please, Christina.
I can try to answer this. So when you submit a proposal, there is indeed different annexes that we ask you to upload. One of these is, of course, the application form Part B. We also ask you to provide us with a letter of intent, and this letter of intent is, of course, for the purpose that you show us that you have commitments for the co-funding of minimum of 50% at the level of the consortium. Then we ask you to provide information in an Excel list on additional information on the beneficiaries. And please also provide us with an additional template on the annual work program, the activities that you foresee to be covered in each of the 12-month periods for the whole duration of the project. In this whole template package, there are 5 documents when you prepare your proposal. So 4 templates, and we also included an documentation on the information, more information on the financial support to third parties, which you ought to consider in your proposal. As for how you're supposed to handle the different formula to measure personal costs, we do provide guidance. I think this is also available on the Horizon Europe website. We do take into consideration that, for example, you're going to have higher personal costs in some member states and less so in the widening countries. So there is specific guidance available on that, and also we brief our evaluators to consider it appropriately.
Very good, thank you. Could you perhaps also say a word on the expected duration of these actions?
3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. So it's up to the consortia to see how much time they need to implement that. Good. Now, you have explained before, Katarina, that we have created quite a population of regional innovation valleys. How do they interact? Because there is a question on our expectation on any formal collaboration between any selected projects and other regional innovation valley activities.
Yes, so just to be clear, you do not have to be Regional Innovation Valley to apply for the call, neither you have to collaborate with any Regional Innovation Valleys. However, indeed, the Regional Innovation Valleys, particularly the consortia that have been formed under European Innovation Ecosystem Work Programme that currently are running, and actually they are working very closely together as well, and interchanging together with the knowledge and expertise. It's very nice and very encouraging to see. It's really bottom-up collaboration that we very much promote. First of all, they could be really a source for you for knowledge and exchange of ideas and help on how you really prepare the proposal, in the sense how you find the good collaboration, good partners, what you want to achieve. It could be also, you could also have some lessons learned from them. Again, it's also possible that already existing consortia or existing regional innovation valleys would submit another proposals. It's absolutely okay. It's not prohibited at all. We, of course, would expect that if there would be proposal coming, let's say, from the same or almost the same consortia, we probably, of course, we would expect that it would be another step in their collaboration and another ideas of what they would like to do. Obviously, not repeating what already happening on the ground, and of course, to avoiding the double funding. But it is also possible. It's also possible for the regions to select, for example, for different proposals, different challenges, because of course some regions are really have a lot of expertise, not in only one burning challenge, but also another one. It's also possible for the region or for any participants to participate in different proposals at the same time.
Very good. Now there's a question on the co-funding. Can the 50% co-funding be provided? Now this question is gone. But the essence of the question was whether the 50% co-funding can be provided by sponsors, private investors, etc., that are not part of the consortium. Yes, absolutely. And you might find yourself in a consortium where each of the partners finds a different answer of getting the 50% co-funding in place. In the end, you have to demonstrate that you fully use the planned budget and you get reimbursed 50%. And so the non-reimbursed part can be covered by other sources then. Please,
I
Christina.
think that there was this other aspect of the question, whether these partners have to be in the consortium. And I think we ought to also clarify that they do not have to be part of the consortium.
Absolutely not. Thank you.
And please also indicate this in the letter of intent.
Good. Then there is something specific on the case where the consortium launches a PPI call. And they want to see confirmation that indeed they can use our union contribution to co-fund TRL9 activities under a PPI call.
The way the question is formed, it's led me to think whether it's like yes or not. I mean, if I can answer at the moment only by two parts of the question, that indeed we are applying the 50% co-funding rate throughout the whole call and the whole proposal. It also applies to FSDP activities and to everything. So in principle, yes. But again, as I have a feeling that there might be something else in this question, so probably we should check as well and then put it in the FAQs.
Yes.
To be sure.
Okay, good. So again, the invitation, be so kind to submit perhaps that question again through the Research Inquiry Service. Otherwise, we try to keep note of it and indeed provide a sound reply in the frequently asked questions that are part of the call publication page. There is a question again on the information that is needed with the submission of the proposal. Are there any annexes? Can you perhaps explain a little bit what the proposal looks like in terms of description of activities and then the annexes that have to come with that?
Okay. I try to go into it, but I'm happy to repeat. Also, please bear in mind you will find the templates for the annexes that you need to upload as part of your proposal once you actually start off drafting a proposal. So if you were to forget to upload anything, the system would ask you to do so. So the annexes are, of course, the application form Part B, then an overview on the additional information on beneficiaries, a letter of intent that is describing the beneficiaries and the planned co-funding, and the annual work programme.
Very good, thank you. So then there's a question if there's fast track for funding in our call if a region already has the Regional Innovation Valley label. I'm afraid not. Everybody starts on the same conditions, whether you are already a Regional Innovation Valley or not. We don't give any advantage in the evaluation to those that come with a label already. Then perhaps, Ekaterina, the question on the balance of challenges. You mentioned before at the beginning the thematic challenges that we like to look into. Do we work on the basis of the better the evaluation result is we select, or is there any other balance that you plan?
We do not have really, didn't have specified any limits to, the balance of the challenges. Of course, we would like, ideally, to have all 5 challenges covered in a good way, but although there is no any restriction, any requirement in the work program, the evaluation panels will base their selection based on the excellence and based on the criteria in charge. We are not going to look whether one challenge or another dominates. We just let the best win.
So choose the challenge that fits best to you. You don't gain anything by anticipating what are perhaps less or more favorable challenges. Perhaps, Ekaterina, on the question of the meetings that we mentioned before, the info day, which I think is also a virtual event only, but there is a physical meeting. Perhaps you can say a little bit more about this again. The date was the 16th, but we should perhaps confirm that. And also where interested people can find already more information about this event and perhaps register.
Yes, it's on 18th of June, but for the links, I think we need to somehow send you and to find a way how we can link the link to this presentation, so people would have information and could register.
But if you put that into the search engine on the internet, I think you will find that already. Yes, let's hope.
Especially on the upcoming info days.
On info day, for sure, yes.
Good. Then let's try the last question that came in. My local challenge is more specific, interdisciplinary, or slightly different than the 5 main burning challenges. Can I still apply? How should they present that in their proposal?
Well, I would say that when we saw the proposals, they actually managed to fit quite well into the burning challenges, because burning challenges are defined, as you appreciate, very, very broadly. But again, we are quite open to receive proposals that are not, strictly speaking, fitting in this burning challenges. They could be interdisciplinary or something like that. And yeah. That's the same. You just it should be still deep tech. I just want to underline that. You should also apply your critical thinking on the current EU priorities. Do not deviate too far from the areas, for example, of EU priorities, smart specialization, the current, but otherwise, no restriction.
Very good. And perhaps also, as an inspiration for those that want to apply, you had this call 2 years ago in the Innovation Ecosystem Work Programme. How many projects did you select there?
We selected 5 projects with very big consortium. I must say that this time we made a little bit less, let's say we made the projects a little bit smaller, and also we expect the consortium maybe to be a little bit smaller than before, because currently our 5 consortia, they have around 10 member states and regions within each consortium, so they are quite big. Again, for the composition of the consortium, it was important to underline there are not only regional and national authorities, there are also a lot of other participants. There could be universities and RTO. So we currently have 5, but quite big consortium. But also, what is nice, with very ambitious program and ambitious interregional projects to implement.
Super. And so, if you go back to the old call, you will find there the link to the projects that have been selected. So you might simply go and look into some of these projects to see what are the activities, how did they approach this. They will all have their dedicated web pages. So I think there is some space for learning here. I think with this we covered very well the topic. If you're interested in this, use the upcoming possibilities to get more information and get involved. Big thanks to you, Ekaterina and Christine, for being with us here today. And good luck with your applications. We are now changing the setup for the next call on the European Excellence Initiative, which addresses consortia of higher education institutions, alliances of universities, including European University Alliances. Back with you in a few minutes. Thank you. Good, so here we go. This is the topic on the European Excellence Initiative. And I have with me here Francesca, a colleague of mine in the same unit, and Joanna from REA. So the Research Executive Agency is implementing these projects, so we are back into the core business of the widening program. We have done this call already 2 times before, so this is the 3rd edition. We did them every 2 years basically, which allows us also to learn from each of the calls. If you would go back to the previous editions, we always changed things after taking into account the feedback from the evaluators, after seeing how projects take off the ground. We have increased budgets, so I think this is a living animal that has shown over time its potential, and therefore we are also happy here to have a very substantial budget into this call for this year. Please remember to use Slido. The questions that we don't answer today or that you will think of afterwards, submit them via the research inquiry, and we make sure that Francesca and her team look into that and reply to them. Without further ado, now to you, Francesca, for a short presentation.
Okay, good afternoon to everybody. So as Jörg just said, this is the 3rd call that we are having on EEI, European Excellence Initiative. This time, what is the main aim of this call is it aims at the transformation of the higher education sector and its close ecosystems, including non-university research centers. Where does it come from this year? We are really careful, took into consideration what Mario Draghi said in the competitiveness report, where he really said that we are very good in average at higher education institutions, but we don't reach the top. In fact, in his report, he referred to the fact that we have only 3 high institutions at the top level, while 15 from China and 21 from US. So we need really to close this gap and to look with more attention to what is in the industry and innovation part. This is why the expected outcomes this year are the modernization and upgrade of higher education institutions through integrated collaboration between institutions and also local and international level, mainstreamed culture of excellence in science and knowledge valorization, accelerated institutional reforms leading to better research careers, as you have seen also in the morning in the close of other presentations. Then strengthen digital skills and obviously artificial intelligence, increase global competitiveness and critical mass of research. Then the last one is the contribution to implementation of ERA Policy Agenda 22-24. In particular, we tend to look with attention to the Action 13, which is dedicated to the higher education institutions and the fact that they need to comply with objectives of the ERA policy agenda, and also whenever relevant also with Action 9, which is related to the deeper of successful achievement of the internal market for researchers. So these are the main expected outcomes. The target groups obviously are academia research, then the European University Alliances selected under Erasmus+, and also other kind of network of alliance of higher education institutions. I will come to this in a few moments. And then economic and industrial partners. Why this? Because one of the main objectives of this, also once more saying, taking into consideration what Draghi said and then appeared in the competitiveness compass, is that we need to develop closer collaboration with the economic and industrial sectors within their local and regional innovation, so that it will allow academic researchers in this call to be trained on access to finance, entrepreneurship, knowledge valorization. So this is key in this call. You can go in the next one, you can see, so as said before, the context, we already explained the context, and now we come to the key elements, eligibility conditions. As for previous years, it's at least 3 independent legal entities in 3 different countries. When we mean countries, we mean obviously member states and associated countries. The center of gravity must be in widening countries. We are under WIDERA. So demonstrate geographical focus conceptually and by budget allocation is at least 51% to participants from widening countries. Another important aspect is about these higher education institutions. We are not forced, not only European university alliances can participate, but also those network of universities that are not at all connected with European university alliances. So this is important, and then to take this into consideration. Then the participants need to implement a current package of activities. There are 5 kinds of modules, and the participants need to respect at least 4 of these. So the first one is new, is the institutional modernization and reforms. You have seen this morning also, I guess, the importance that is going to be given more and more in our work programs to research management, and this will be part of this, part of the module, and also to research careers. Then exchange of academic and non-academic staff for sharing good practices. Then another one will be the development of research excellence, then digital transformation and outreach. So a part of this will say that expenditure of research and innovation activity cannot exceed a maximum of 20% of the total budget and need to be presented in a dedicated work package. Another element that we need to consider is that educational activities such as master or doctoral programs are out of scope. And what is important also is that we don't have this called a lump sum call. The duration of the project will not exceed 5 years. This is the overall aspect. Now let me add a few elements, because internally we produce a survey on the outcome of the first 2 calls. As you know, we financed 21 projects. The main issues that we can retain is that, for example, the thematic areas. The most relevant ones so far have been ICT and green technology. Also on the size so far of EEI, more than half were between 5 and 10 legal entities composing the consortium. The others are more than 10. Then other aspects is that what do they retain, these coordinators from the call, where they really had a very positive answer, and was especially on the part that they really changed the institutional asset. So this speaks very good for the forthcoming sustainability of these projects. So these are just a few elements on this. And another one, the last one, was that this was very important. This called really facilitate their participation in other research funding projects. I think this is very important because it also gives hope for the future. Okay, thanks a lot, and I'm here, we're here now.
Thanks a lot, Francesca. So indeed, a very interesting call for higher education institutions. We have seen a lot of interest in the past call already. Perhaps to highlight a couple of elements that Francesca mentioned here. What we have changed compared to the last call is that the threshold on how to demonstrate the center of gravity is now fairly low, so only more than half of the budget has to be allocated to partners from widening countries. That was a feedback that we have received a number of times. So indeed, it allows partners from non-widening countries to also take a leading role and bring their expertise to the work. Be careful with the research activities. If you include research activities, make sure they do not exceed 20% of the budget, and we're not particularly encouraging them, but we understand the interest of the consortia to do so. The last point I want to make before going to the questions is, if you look into the ERA policy agenda and the call text, you see this is basically the vehicle for higher education institutions to absorb the different aspects of the ERA policy agenda, from open science to gender to, you name it, research management, and address that in a comprehensive package. And so therefore we hope that we get a good interest here of institutions to benefit from that and drive the modernization of the higher education sector, especially in the widening countries. Which basically answers already one of the questions: what are the major changes? So I jumped the horse on that one. There's a question, I read it out so that also people that watch it later can still get this. What is the expectation regarding the ratio of the geographical focus of widening to non-widening countries? Compared to the last call, 70-30%, this has been changed to 59-49. Is higher distributional criteria? So Francesca, what do we say on that?
I think Joanna wants
Joanna?
to take this.
I can take this as well. Thank you, Francesca. So the ratio indeed is now 51 to 49. This means that the applicants should demonstrate in the proposal, both conceptually but as well budget-wise, that the geographical focus in the widening country is remained. Now it's up to the applicant to decide how, in what type of ratio they would like to go for, but this is the minimum of 51% of the budget should be allocated to the widening participants.
Okay, very good. Perhaps then we stay with you, Joanna, on the next question, because you also have the experience on the running contracts. The composition of the consortium. Is there a need to have a majority of the consortium of higher education institutions? Do we allow other legal entities such as research institutions, SMEs, non-governmental organizations to be part of the consortium? What would we reply to that?
I think as far as the eligibility criterion is respected, where we have three legal entities from three member states and the widening or associated countries to Horizon, and the coordinator is from the widening country. This is our eligibility criterion. Of course, this European Excellence Initiative, it has one of the objectives is to reinforce the career opportunities for the researchers. That's why we advise to have close collaboration with the surrounding innovation ecosystem. This means that experts from the non-academic sectors, they should, and it's advisable to be included in the consortium in order to enable this cooperation and acquiring transferable skills by the researchers. So of course we expect that the majority will be, let's say, from the higher education sector, but also to have, let's say, non-academic representatives as well included in the consortium.
Okay. Good.
May I just add something concerning this also from the first info that we got from the survey to give you an idea about higher education institutions. So far, 60% out of the 21st project that we financed, that we have, there were consortia not part of the European University Alliances, while 40% were coming from European University Alliances. Just to give you an idea of the different kind of consortia that participate so far in the project, in the calls.
Okay, good. Then there's a question on the role of research infrastructures and which type can be supported in this context. Given your previous answer, Joanna, I think they have their place there as long as they are justified for the scope of the activities. So no limitation there.
Exactly, and I think it's also about sharing of the research infrastructures. As we have the 20% on the research and innovation activities, it means that they can use part of this 20% to fund and purchase equipment. If I may, I want to underline something to the applicants, to the potential applicants, that when we talk about 20% of research expenses, this includes personnel cost, purchase cost, indirect cost as well. So please take this into account when you do your calculations.
Very good, thank you. Then there's a question on the timeline. So just to remind our viewers today, the call closure is on the 20 November 2025. That means the time to grant, to start with the end of the process, is 8 months. So I guess for the evaluation, we will probably be able to communicate to the applicants towards February, March next year, the outcomes.
Exactly. By mid-March, we expect to inform the applicants.
Super. Good. Then on the starting date of successful application, so with a time to grant of 8 months, we would look at having projects starting towards June 2026. Of course, there is always the possibility to agree individually on slightly deviating starting dates, but that's the timeline that we are looking at. Perhaps we can pick one last question. No, but I think we have covered that. Are the modules expected to become work packages, perhaps on the challenges?
I think this really becomes, it depends on the organization of the consortium, how they would like to organize themselves.
So we are not prescriptive there. You see how you best can present your activities in your work packages, and our experts will look at that with open eyes. Good. Then again, many thanks to both of you, Francesca, Joanna. Don't forget to send extra questions in if you have them via the Research Inquiry Service. And we will have a short break to come to the one but last topic on the hop-on, and we'll see you back in a few minutes. Thank you. It gets to you at some point.
Yes.
Good. So we were just talking about the music that we have to listen to while waiting for the audience to get back to us. Yes, so this is the one but last topic for today, the hop-on facility. This is something that was introduced fresh at the beginning of Horizon Europe. We are doing this now for the fifth time.
Right.
Fifth time, yes. We are doing one more after this. So 2026, we have in the pipeline one last call. So please get yourself ready. We have changed a few things, and Adeline and Costanza, who are with me, will explain that in detail. Adeline is taking care in our team of this topic, and Costanza has the vast experience of having organized all the evaluations in REA over the last years and has seen all the submitted proposals in detail. So anything that relates to our experience there, she will be able to help us out with that. But we start with Adeline, please.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you to bear with us with this long day. And thank you for your questions that will come up. So I will just summarize something that most of you know already. So the hop-on facility aims really to improve the inclusiveness of Horizon Europe. The expected outcomes are first to mobilize excellence and increase the visibility of the research and innovation systems of widening countries, of course, to improve the knowledge circulation and reduce the participation gap for widening countries in thematic domains. That's the first expected outcome. The second is really to open silos of established closed networks. And the third is to provide new competencies and skills for working in transnational projects, for instance, research management, dissemination and exploitation of results. Who are the target groups? Who are the eligible projects? Academia and researchers. A consortium funded under Pillar 2 or the EIC Pathfinder actions of Horizon Europe with a valid grant agreement, but with no partner from a widening country. I'd like to insist on this. Only those who actually don't have already a widening country can really apply, and a legal entity from obviously a widening country wishing to join in this collaborative research and innovation action. So what are the key elements? The proposal must be linked to an ongoing project, as we already said, funded under Pillar 2 or the EIC Pathfinder of Horizon Europe in its first reporting period. And Jörg said that we had introduced some small changes, and this is the first one. The ongoing project is between month 1 and month 12 from its starting date by the submission deadline. This is an extremely important change, which we have already highlighted and REA also has highlighted. All consortium partners need to agree, obviously, on the accession of the new partner. This is a very democratic process. The proposal should include a detailed description of the widening partner profile and, of course, its role in the existing project. And, of course, there are research and the innovation relevance and complementarity needs to be demonstrated. In terms of the implementation, the selected consortia are invited to submit an amendment request for the accession of a new partner, and then the modification of the description, obviously, of the action and the upgrade of the budget. In terms of the budget, the indicative expected EU contribution per project is between 0.1 to 0.6 million. So there is a wide range, I would say. The budget increase must be exclusively for the benefit of the widening partner, but an additional coordination fee up to 10% of the increased budget can be allocated to the coordinator of the consortium, although this is not mandatory. The coordinator may request the coordination fee and provide an explanation of the additional integration efforts for the new partner. All right, so I guess I summarized in a few words the main elements for that call. As I said, sorry to insist again, the main change is really this M1 to month 1 to month 12 from starting day by the submission deadline to be really taken into consideration.
Thanks a lot, Adeline. So perhaps while we wait for questions coming in, a question for you, Costanza. If I want to hop on, where do I find the possible projects to hop on and how do I approach them?
Well, of course, you can find all the relevant information about the call and the timing and the budget on the funding and tender portal. And there are also additional information on the available and indicatively eligible projects that can apply to the hop-on. In fact, the Commission made an indicative list to help the projects and also the widening legal entities wishing to participate to this call to start a sort of matchmaking activities. So this list is updated regularly and is published, of course, online. In the call page, you can find the link on how to get to the table, and from there, there is also the possibility for interested legal entities based in widening countries to contact the coordinators of eligible projects.
So there is perhaps as a direct follow-up on what you explained to the list of eligible projects. Can we hop on to a project that is not listed? Are there any projects that escape our scrutiny?
Of course, there is always the possibility to have bugs because the IT systems are good, but not always 100% reliable. So indeed, this is indicative. And again, I'm repeating, there is no legally binding information behind this list. But the aim is to help the matchmaking activity among the interested widening entities and the coordinators of eligible projects to get in touch and see whether to prepare a proposal and apply by the call deadline, which I want to repeat is the 4th of September 2025.
Good. I also saw there was a question flying by on the union contribution. I think there was a typo on the slide because in the work program we say 200 to 600,000 and 100 to 600,000. So indeed, thank you for that question, dear audience. I confirm the proposed union contribution is 200 to 600,000 euro. But of course, as we also specify in the call text, if you justify it, you can also apply for different amounts. Then there is a question on legal entities from outermost regions. So here the example of Canary Islands. Can a legal entity from the Canary Island hop on an ongoing project where there is already a participant from mainland Spain? The answer is obviously yes, because they're independent legal entities. And we had that case actually in consortia where we had outermost regions participating in a project that was coordinated by a mainland legal entity. So then perhaps a little bit more clarification on the possibility to request also some union contribution for the coordinator of the hop-on project. How would that be justified? Do we see that a lot?
Yes, indeed. Well, we have to bear in mind that the additional budget must be allocated to the benefit of the new participant, so of the widening new partner. However, the Commission foresees a 10% coordination fees for the coordinators to cover the administrative cost for the proposal preparation. And all this should be described, of course, in the proposal part B, where the coordinator explains, of course, the added value of having the widening partner hopping into the ongoing project, and where it can justify also the request for the coordination fee.
Very good. I saw again a request for clarification. We will still have, after this topic, the presentation on the enlargement countries, so stay with us if you're interested in that topic. So there were two questions related to how many legal entities or countries can hop on, and it's very clear it is one legal entity that can hop on to an ongoing project that doesn't have yet a member in the consortium from a widening countries. So a university and its hospital can only hop on if they have the same legal entity, the same PIC. We only take one PIC for the hop on, nothing else. Then the question on the scope. Perhaps should elaborate a little bit on what activities the additional beneficiary can implement. The question here is it limited to research, research management, dissemination, exploitation? What exactly do we have in mind?
If I may suggest something, this is a suggestion, of course, that appears in the work program, because it is important that the visibility is given to the new participant as well. So there is the importance of describing the activities and the added value of having a new participant on board, and of course guarantee visibility of the new participant within the activities which are already constructed. Of course, anything can be added, so the new participant can have different tasks spread around in the different work packages, for instance, and so participate into the current project activities at different levels, so in the dissemination, as of in the research, as of in the project management. The important thing is that the tasks assigned are convincingly explained and presented in the proposal description part B.
Okay, and then again on the scope in relation to our expected outcomes, what could be examples of specific measures to help reach the widening outcomes, in particular in the widening institutions level? I mean, of course, there's the individual benefit of an organization entering a network of successful, experienced institutions that run the project where it attaches to. But beyond that, can we have perhaps from the examples we have seen in the past, explain a little bit what the other benefits are?
Yes, I think your point is the most important. So the participation in transnational projects is mutual benefit for the consortium and for the new partner. And what we have observed from the past editions, for instance, is that when an action starts, generally can identify a given risk within the activities. So writing a proposal of a big project, especially research and innovation project, is something at the beginning, but then during the course of the project, and especially at the beginning, it's easy to identify given risk, and having an additional participant, in this case the hop-on widening entity, to step in can be, for instance, a way to mitigate an identified risk, and so again a mutual benefit.
If I may just add some projects that I came across, past projects actually, which was very interesting, is to see that the additional partner from a widening country would actually add much more on the research topic and a particular part of the research. So we're not it's more than a win-win situation sometimes. It's not just somebody or an institution that come to be just helped. There is also this contribution that actually, in that case, actually greatly improved the research. It was much more on the research and not so much on dissemination or other aspects. It's really on research, because this particular researcher from a widening country really knew already this person in a non-widening country, in an ongoing RIA, and really had experience to actually get in for many, I would say, merely bureaucratic reasons. So yes, there is a great advantage there.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, then there were a couple of questions that I saw passing by that I perhaps can summarize. So first of all, the legal entity submitting the proposal is the coordinator of the ongoing project. That's important to keep in mind. So it starts with them, and they decide then who to accept as a hop-on partner if they see the benefit of doing this. There were questions also again on the timing. So just to repeat what Adeline already said with very strong words, by the deadline of submission, the collaborative project has to be in month 1 to month 12 of its first reporting period. Whether the project is a 2-year project or a 5-year project, it doesn't matter. You have to hop on in the first year by the deadline of the submission. That's extremely important because otherwise your project will be declared, your proposal will be declared ineligible and not even evaluated. Then there is a question on the alliances. Yes, because I understand, just I read it out for those that view it later. I understand that EU university alliances, which already include partners from widening countries, is not eligible for funding. But can a university from a widening country apply if they want to join the alliances? Now, this is about collaborative projects under the second pillar and the EIC Pathfinder. So I don't see that this relates to already funded consortia of European university alliances because they don't exist in this kind of context. Then a very valid question that asks what kind of information can I access if I'm interested in joining? Is it possible to have access to the full proposal that we are interested in so that we can easily identify if we fit or not? So perhaps, Constanza, can you explain what kind of information a legal entity can find out there in order to see if it's possible, useful to hop on?
Yeah, indeed. From the list that is published of these indicative eligible projects, you have the basics information on how to contact the coordinator, and then an abstract explaining the activities of the project and the composition of the consortium. So basic information. But then there is the possibility to contact directly the coordinator, and I would suggest then at that point to stimulate the matchmaking activities and ask directly to the coordinators.
Okay, super. With this, we are out of time. Many thanks for the great questions and interest. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of proposals. Last encouragement, success rate for those above threshold is typically 100%, so feel encouraged to submit. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And for the last one for today, and if you missed parts of today that you want to see, Of course, you can see the videos afterwards on our portal and on YouTube, so nothing gets lost. We are now waiting for the last slides to come on, because we are still seeing the questions from the last session, but that will change any minute. In any case, I'm here with Agata, that will help us to explain the last topic. Remember, again, to submit your questions via the Slido. You have the QR code online. And so the last topic is a topic to support policymaking in EU enlargement countries, so very specific target groups. And I let it to Agata to give us the details on this, please.
Thank you very much, Jörg, and thank you very much for this opportunity. So I don't know how many of you are nostalgic about IncoNet type of calls. I am. And this is such type of a call, so I think it has more of a limited audience, but we hope to receive some nice applications also for this one. And I want to say that as for enlargement countries, so we are talking about quite a diverse group of countries, so it's not a classical region, so to say, but we can speak about the Western Balkan economies, so 6 countries there. And in addition to the Western Balkan partners, we would like to have a focus on Georgia, Ukraine, Moldova, and Turkey. So you can see that this is really a group of countries which are different in size, they are different in terms of economic development, etc. So you need a diverse consortium to have a proper coverage of this whole group of countries. So we would like to provide support to these enlargement countries, and how? So it will be a CSA project. We only want to devote 3 million to it, and we expect to receive we expect to receive more proposals, but we plan to fund only one. And there is one specific item here, so you can also just give away some financial support to third parties, and the maximum amount there can be 60,000, but otherwise it's a generic CSA project, so nothing specific there. Only when we talk about the eligibility conditions, so because we are under the WIDERA program part, we would like to have a coordinator from a widening country, and not only the coordinator should come from a widening country, but 50% of the budget should go to widening countries or entities that are established in widening countries. This is not very complicated because all these enlargement countries are widening countries as well. So if you involve some of them in the consortium, you are already easily spending the parts of the budget on them. So what are the expected outcomes? We would like to integrate these countries more into the European research area. So of course it's already a big priority for them because they are all trying to accede and join the European Union, but there is still a lot to do there, so we can support them a lot in this travel towards the era, and also in innovation, the European innovation area. We would also provide support to the whole accession process. So because these are diverse countries, but the objective is the same, so they would like to join the EU sooner or later. Then the contribution for creation of joint research and innovation activities. So even if they are diverse, there can be activities that can cover all this region. Then there are some specificities because currently there is a running project for the Western Balkans, and we would like to continue those efforts because they are really successful and they help a lot in the region. So the consortium will have to support the work of the Western Balkan steering platforms, which also means a yearly ministerial meeting. So you really need such capacities that can organize large-scale events. And connected to the steering platform, there is also an agenda for the Western Balkans and the growth plan. So we really try to coordinate all the efforts that can then facilitate the growth in the region. And on the next slide, there are some additional information. So as you can see, there is already an info hub. It's really worth to check because there is a lot of information about the Balkans, and in a way this new project will be the continuation of a running one which is currently only focusing on the Western Balkans, so that really has to be enhanced, and you have to go on with the other countries as well. But you will see a lot of activities which are already running there, and it can I think sorry, it can also help you to plan your activities when you submit your application. And what kind of elements you should put into the in your proposal. So we more or less expect to have a platform, but this platform more or less exists. You should just enhance the scope of it, because we believe there are plenty of activities that can support these countries, but a coordination would be necessary. It's not only DG RTD that is supporting these countries, so you really need to have a large scope, and this coordination would help us to avoid a lot of overlaps and duplications. Then skills development and capacity building. So capacity building is still a necessity in these countries, so please also focus on that one. As I said, there are already fixed events, so the ministerial is a fixed event. And just for you to have a bit of a picture how the steering platform works, so we also organize yearly meetings, 3 online plus 1 in-person event plus the ministerial. So only for the Western Balkan steering platform you already have to organize 5 events per year. And this time we will of course just increase the number of events with these newcomers. Then this is also very important that we should not only focus on the region as on these countries and not on the networks and how to integrate them with the member states. So of course we should also find the links with the member states and establish some networks or open up existing ones. So in this regard we are also very much in line with the other calls. There are also existing policy initiatives like the smart specialization strategies. Of course, the Joint Research Center is there to help, but it has to be followed up and it also has to be supported. And also innovation. So of course we can come back to innovation many times. So the innovation ecosystems have to be strengthened in all these countries, and best practices can be shared also from member states, also from good or successful universities, organizations. So there is a lot to teach and there is a lot to learn from each other, also as well in tech transfer activities. So this is more or less shortly what we expect under this call, but I hope to receive some questions.
Thanks a lot. So you will have understood that this is a project that will require close collaboration with the Commission services. I mean, this is basically a hand-in-hand collaboration here to support the enlargement countries, and we see if we can get some questions from the audience while we are waiting. There they are. Will it be positively evaluated if organizations from enlargement countries are members of the consortium? So my take on that would be that, of course, in the consortium you have to demonstrate that you have the right competences around the table to achieve the objectives, and in my view, having these countries in the consortium would certainly help to make that case, right?
It is definitely an added value, but it is not compulsory, and you don't need to have all these countries in the consortium, but it is very important that they all benefit from it, so that at least the information channels should be there. And as Jörg said, you definitely need the capacities for this, and I'm sure there will be at least some of these countries in these consortia always present.
Okay, so they don't have to be all in the consortium, but there's another question that just came in. Do all enlargement countries have to be addressed by the proposal? That's a different question.
Yeah, exactly, because definitely. So they all need to be addressed, they all need to benefit. So it's really important. That's not, we cannot just pick and choose, because this whole call is meant for all the enlargement countries. So they should all benefit from this opportunity.
Okay, and then there's a question on the budget. Should the budget be evenly distributed among enlargement countries? Well, budgets are not distributed across countries. Budgets are distributed among beneficiaries. So it's a question of distribution partners in the consortium. You mentioned one condition already, that at least half of the budget has to go to legal entities from widening countries. Anything apart from that?
No. So there are no such specificities, and it's not compulsory to distribute evenly, because it's also difficult to measure it, and we really rather want to be the information that is spread evenly. So it's not really the budget, because the budget will go mainly to the consortium partners, and as said, there might be some countries which are not there in the consortium, but they will still receive all the activities, so they can participate in the activities, in the events, etc., and they will all receive the information. So we have to be open, but budget-wise, we are not that strict.
Okay. And I mean, if the consortium takes on board a legal entity from an enlargement country, you would look at what kind of organization?
So that can be a funding agency, it can be a university, an innovation fund. So I know these details because we have this currently running project, and they had really different types of entities also in the current consortium. Okay. So currently they had one from each Western Balkan economy, by the way, and there were different experiences, so it's also important to foresee how far you can spend the budget, because sometimes these entities can face difficulties, let's say, how to employ someone from the project. So it's important, I believe, to think about this before you put together your consortium. So there are some lessons learned there. But universities, tech transfer offices, and that's why the audience is really diverse here. I mean, also in terms of the consortium.
Okay, and I see a last question now came in. Can it also be a non-governmental organization?
Of course, yes. Okay. So it's really very open, and we are happy if it's a diverse community.
But of course, you have to justify the role of each legal entity and what it brings to the consortium.
Exactly.
So, so then there's a question, the reference to the ongoing project for the Western Balkans. How could interested people find that project? Do we have the name, the acronym, a web link?
It's Policy Answers, but by the way, so there was this link about the information hub, and there you will see everything about that one, because they are running that information hub. So if you have the slides, you will see that link.
Okay, super. Good. I think this brings us to the end of not only the topic, but the day. Thanks a lot, Agota. Many thanks for watching us today. I hope you got some of the information you need to prepare your proposal. Remember, there are ample possibilities to get more information. Use the possibilities provided by the national contact points. Use the possibility of the Research Inquiry Service. For the first two topics, there are dedicated sessions organized by the EIC and by the EIE Work Programme, where you can again find more information, get support for matchmaking in the case of the regional innovation valleys, and use the list of the projects to be hopped on if you want to hop on. This is for now everything. We will have our next info day for this work program probably in November, December this year, so it's not too far away. We're going to see each other again still this year. Use the time until then for the preparation of good and hopefully successful proposals. I want to thank in particular my team around me that has helped us today to prepare the day, the great colleagues here from the television studio that helped us to do this all in such a professional style. It's a great pleasure always to be here, and so big thanks to everyone, and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.